1999, the year the telecom and the internet bubble burst. By the way, the first economic bubble I ever experienced since I came to this country. I'm originally from Peru. If you started your career in technology like me, oh boy, you know what it's like to be in transition, not once, but several times. To be honest with you, my whole approach to the whole thing was with a certain degree of smugness. Luckily, I shift the mindset of walking backwards, imposing my past experiences set onto my future. Today, I am here to tell you about the factors that are creating the perception there is a shortage of talent. Countless hours of research for my book project show that imbalances in the economy influence the way that companies hire and the way that cities are dealing with demographic changes. So if you are a job seeker or you know somebody who is, the information I'm about to share is going to change the way you look at your community, the way you look at your elected officials, and maybe, just maybe, the way you search for a new job and manage your career. The media, we hear in the media a lot, and actually everywhere we go, that despite rising of business confidence equating to more jobs, companies are still struggling finding the right people. And to be honest with you, this is no news. Companies' ability to adapt to changing performance of skills can be traced back to the 40s, 50s, and 60s when people of certain age, particularly men, were required to join the military. The military back then was a powerful engine providing outstanding leadership, great ethics, and deep technical training muscle into the culture. The military assumed the responsibility to develop talent. When that talent, the source of that talent began to disappear in the late 1970s, the talent was never replaced. A generation later, and as a result of the enterprise software re-engineering and implementation in the late 1980s and early 1990s, we began to see that corporations assume the responsibility to make sure that employees are fully developed to meet the market's needs. Now, when companies enter the era of mobilization and globalization, we began to experience ourselves less emphasis on people development and more emphasis on targeted skills. But more about that later, so hang on to that note. Let me walk you through the three main factors that create the perception that we are experiencing in skills gap. Let me start with technology and the idea that exactly in the movie, in the Little Shop of Horrors, outsourcing is like Audrey, the plant or the alien that ate all our jobs. And I hope you, like me, made peace with the idea that every job that becomes a routine will be automated and eventually will be outsourced. There is no way out. Let's face it, it's financial reality. The moment a job becomes routine, it is automated and it's outsourced. And this is because technology has reimagined the way that we interact with the world. There are plenty of examples around us. And for example, we use Uber for transportation, Airbnb for travel and apartment rental, Tinder for dating, Google Cars will soon drive us to our destination, and B2B technologies will make our cars speak to each other in the highways, all in pursuit of our precious convenience. Isn't that awesome? But don't forget, one of the great things that came up from the last Great Recession was that we have now a generation that appreciates the value of the buck, that appreciates the value of saving for a rainy day. So if that is true, are you putting your money in Wall Street? But not this Wall Street. I'm talking about this Wall Street. It's called high-speed trading. Amazing, believe it or not, computer secret programs are now trading stocks in fraction of a millisecond. So way too fast to detect in a stock ticker or a computer screen. Let's be clear about technology. This is not the real problem. The real problem is that some of us were still fixated, committed to routine fields, and for whatever reason, we are not able to adapt. Many predictions in the future are based on exponential growth. Let's face it, a technology's exponential growth rate means that we are achieving in 1 year what we used to achieve in centuries, in ancient centuries. What's trending? We hear the hiring is up, which is a great thing. However, the statistics show that the number of jobs that are created are part-time, remote, low wage. Yes, they offer us flexible schedules, but no benefits. And when we look deeply into specific statistics, we find, for example, the Family Network of Disabilities here in Pinellas reported that in Florida, unemployment rate for people with disabilities is almost 30%. And guys, I'm not talking about amazing double amputee Amy Puri, who dazzled us all with her breathtaking performance in the last season of Dancing with the Stars. I am referring to people with disabilities that are able and willing to work, but have fewer opportunities. Data points tell us that boomers are retiring every day and millennials are going to school. So if the data is accurate, the only question I have is, who is available for work? So many think if the data is true, we have to make a commitment to start getting interested in computer coding. And then that raise grannies to the rescue, creating grandmas who code. A study shows that 85% of jobs created in the last 10 years require knowledge work skills. And for that reason, companies, they want the best of the best. So they are becoming very creative to recruit talent. And they are offering paid executive internships. And this is an example. Kristen Marks is the newest vice president at Morgan Stanley, who re-entered the workforce last year through this system. Now, another factor that is creating the perception that we have a shortage of talent is the perception that the educational system is failing. And that will continue as long as the schools keep holding our kids subjected to compliance-based modules when our children are natural learners. We are all born with creativity, innovation, wonder, and intrinsic motivation. In other words, we are all born to be amazing. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Yes. However, studies show that the more formal schooling we acquire, these very qualities hinder. Okay? Now, if you read the book Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell, the author, argues that the 10,000 hour rule, which is the number of hours required to master a skill. So, despite latest cognitive research that proves different, let's assume that the rule is true. And by the time your 12-year-old enters the market, the job market in 5 years from now, she or he will master a very interesting skill, which is playing video games. Yes. But please, don't take that skill lightly, because I'm going to tell you why. A research done by Hopkins University shows that children who play educational video games for 3 months between the ages of 8 and 12 years old, 8 of 10 children were 99% engaged and interested in learning. They never felt discouraged by failure, and they collaborated with each other, and they were excited about the next problem set. And let's face it, people, these are the skills that corporations are looking for. So, let's expect younger generations, starting with millennials, shape the project-based labor market very soon. 85% of project-based has increased 40-fold since 1980s, and 85% of our careers, our jobs created have require college degree. Now, the third and final factor that is creating the perception that we have a shortage of talent is the way companies hire. And quite frankly, is the most disturbing one. Companies have recruiting systems the way that we know them today that are not able to identify exactly the meaning of your resume. Number one, they cannot tell the difference between number one and the word spelled out one, or one-N-E, between lead designer and versus design supervisor, between 10 hours of experience sitting in your queue, waiting for things to happen versus 2 years of experience with hands-on experience making things happen. And I think you know where I'm going to. So companies need to find a way to combine recruiting tactics with a better sense of identifying if the person is going to work regardless of the job changing. And you know that jobs change these days because corporate value that is created is influenced by social media and big data, and obviously we are dealing with intangibles like brands, personal, intellectual property, and people. Now, it is becoming clear that the problem is regional, because every city today has its own demographics and its own ecosystem with specific industries and specific technologies that are supported by an infrastructure made by administrative, supply chain, and other kind of jobs. So it is in our best interest to understand that we have to look at the data at very macro level. A report provided by the Associated Press ranked Florida in position number 20 out of 38 states that are reporting job recovery. However, when we look at the Department of Labor, we find that the Florida's top industries are tourism, so that will be the main component of our ecosystem, And the infrastructure of this ecosystem is supported by agriculture, service, and health technology. Right in Hillsborough, our unemployment rate is 7.0. But if we heard Kingmore, we know that if we go deep inside little zip codes, we're going to find a higher unemployment. I recommend that you review the CNBC report by Stone Coe, senior correspondent from July 2014, that gives you different categories for Florida, and that gives you important data. We noticed that the national unemployment rate is 6.2. In Florida, unemployment rate in July is 6.2, which compared to last year, it has improved, creating more than 600,000 new jobs, but 70% of those jobs are part-time or remote. So what we learned? First, if you need to become Iron Man if you really want to go ahead a robot that can learn your job and steal your employment. You also need to join your kids and become an expert in video games. And finally, you need to become a zombie and start uploading resumes in corporate databases. Or simply, you need to move on and trust that things will get better. And my hope today is that you use this information to inspire yourself to become a better prepared to help your kids choose a better career, or to help a family member, a neighbor, or a friend to explore better employment options, or simply to come together as a community to explore new opportunities for innovation and best solutions for your own city. National data is noise, and local data is information. Let's act upon it. Thank you.